Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining in today. My name is Dr. Tony Aje. Today, I want to talk about the salary for healthcare assistant in the UK. Now, these salaries I want to break down here, they are just mere estimate. The final figures depends on how many hours a week you work and what is the baseline rate that your employer agrees with you. So this is going to be a typical salary for a healthcare assistant. Number one, under normal condition, the number of hours you work in a week should not be less than 37.5 hours a week. 37.5 hours a week, that is the typical. Sometimes your employer can tell you to work for maybe 40 hours. They can tell you to work for 50 hours or 60 hours or even 70 hours, as much as your time will allow you to do. But at least your number of hours a week typically should not be less than 37.5 hours in a week. Now, let's talk about the hourly rate. I've broken this down into hourly rate. Most employers will give you £10 per hour. In other words, the rate you get per hour of work is roughly 10 pounds. Sometimes some of these employers can give you maybe about 11, they can give you 12 pounds, they can give you 13 pounds. I mean, it depends on how much your employer is ready to part with their profit. So if you work for 37.5 hours a week, so all you need to do is just to multiply that by 10 or 10.1 or 10 pound 50 pence, as the case may be. So that will give you the rough estimate in a week. So for the purpose of this presentation, I just say that the number of hours is roughly going to be 37.5 hours. Now, when you multiply that by 10, that will give you 374. That is roughly 374 pounds in a week, or 375 pounds in a week. And when you multiply that by 4, which is your pay in a month, that comes to be about 1,430 pounds in a month. And you can go on to do the mathematics. You multiply that 1,430 by 12. That is 12 months. And that will give you a rough estimate of maybe about 19,000 to 20 or 21,000 pounds in a year. So that is the brief calculation of the salaries of a healthcare assistant in the UK. Now, let's talk about deductions, because in the UK, when you work, I think the same thing is applicable to most countries in the world. You are expected to pay tax. And in the UK, there is a tax you pay, which is on your income. And there's also this national income deductions. Now, in a week, your income tax, if you work 37.5 hours in a week and you earn roughly £10 per hour, your tax deductible, that is your income tax, is going to be roughly 26 pounds, and your NI contribution is going to be 15. So the total tax in a week is going to be 42 pounds. Then in a month, when you do the mathematics, the income deduction is going to be, your income tax deduction is going to be 115 pounds, whereas the NI deduction is going to be 69 pounds. And so that in a month, if you add that up, it's going to be roughly 185 pounds in a month. Then in a year, when you multiply that by 12, that will come down to be around 2,200 or 2,250 pounds in a year. So that is the amount of deduction that is going to be taken from your salary. So, like I told you in the beginning, these are just breakdown of the minimum. I know a lot of healthcare assistants that earn far more than this. You can imagine if somebody works instead of 37.5 hours a week, you do maybe about 50 hours. That means you are going to earn in excess of this calculation I've just broken down now. If you happen to work 55 hours a week, or 60 hours a week, or even 65 hours a week, definitely you are going to earn more than this salary breakdown. So I've seen a lot of healthcare assistants that are earning in excess of 600 per week. And if you earn 600 per week and you multiply that by 4, that is going to be roughly 2,400 in a month. So that is a lot of money. And if you multiply that by 12, so that is going to give you, that is 12 times the initial multiplication. That is going to give you excess of 26,000 or 24,000, even excess of that in a year. So as it stands, healthcare assistant, you have the tendency of making more money. It depends on how many hours of work you do. And even though you are going to pay tax, but when you remove all the taxes at the end of the day, you are still well off. But one thing I want to remind our colleagues that are working as healthcare assistant is that, let's say you earn this basic that I've just calculated now, that in a month, you go home with roughly about 1,430. But remember, you are still going to pay your house rent there. You are going to pay for your transport. You are going to pay for your bills. You are going to pay for gas, electricity. And if you happen to buy a car, you are going to pay for motor tax. You are going to pay for car insurance. So when you bring all these expenses, you add them up and you remove them from your monthly payment, you discover that if you are hovering around this basic pay, this number of working hours a week, you discover that you will hardly be able to meet up. So the ideal thing is that when you arrive in the UK, you need to negotiate with your employer how you can get more hours of work. Because with this, you'll be able to increase your take-home pay. Things are very expensive in the UK. Houses are expensive. The cost of living is very, very expensive. So you don't want to run into the risk of not having enough money at the end of the day after such hard work. And I told you in my previous videos that healthcare assistant work is very hard. You might need to work, you might need to commute from one place to the other. In fact, if you need to trek it, you might need to trek for hours before you get before you are able to cover all the locations. And buses don't ply all these places where your clients are located. Sometimes you might need to take taxi. And if you need to take a taxi and your employer is not going to cover that cost for you, that can be so exorbitant. That can be a lot. And that can just finish whatever gain you are going to have at the end of the day. So bear this in mind. When you arrive in the UK, make sure you negotiate with your employer how you can get more hours. Very, very important, because the more hours you do, the more money you earn. And the more money you earn, after removing all the taxes, then the more you have to take care of some other expenses. Then another thing to mention before I close this talk is the cost of getting COS. We all know that it's very expensive. I've heard some people pay from £7,500 to about £15,000. It is quite expensive. So before you promise to pay back your creditors, before you leave your country, before you leave Nigeria in particular, make sure you bear in mind these calculations I've just given to you now, because there's not going to be a magic wand. If you don't put in more hours, you are going to find yourself deficient of cash at the end of the day. For example, if you promise your lenders that, oh, give me this 15,000, give me this 12,000. As soon as I get to the UK and I start working, the first 4 weeks, I will start sending the money back. When you look at this calculation I've done, there is no way you will start sending money back within the first 4 weeks of your arrival. Not even the first 8 weeks. It's going to take time. So bear this in mind. When you are borrowing money from people, let them give you a space of time. You can tell them to give you maybe about 4 months, about 3 months, about 4 months. So that when you get to the UK, you have an idea of how the system works. You know how much money you are going to be having in your pocket at the end of the day. So that will allow you to space out whatever money you've taken for this process. Because the cost of getting this visa is expensive. Apart from the cost of your flight, the cost of the radiology, the cost of the visa itself, and the actual cost of the COS. So bear all these things in mind so that when you are negotiating, you have a solid ground to negotiate. And remember, in spite of all the gloomy pictures that people are painting all over the place, that, oh, when you come, you are going to regret, people are regretting, people are running back. Yeah, for some people, when they get to the UK, this may not be the life they want to live. They may see themselves as working harder than what they were doing in Nigeria. But look, at the end of the day, it's a matter of choice. So if you know you want to come to the UK, know that when you come to the UK, you work hard before you get £1. And if you can do that, why not? A lot of people that have been here years before you, they are succeeding. So if they are succeeding, why not you? So bear that in mind. Don't let anybody convince you that, oh, people that are doing healthcare system, because the work is so hard, they are running back. Yes, people are running back. But you don't have to run back. You can as well make this place your home. So hard work pays 24 hours. Make sure you are prepared to work hard in the UK. If you can work very hard in Nigeria or in Pakistan or anywhere you are coming from, then of course in the UK, you get the money you work for. So there's no delay in the payment of your wages or in the payment of your salary, and that is the beauty there. So whatever you do, you get paid. So bear all these things in mind, and also know that is a new life you are coming to live in. The system of work is different. So you are expected to work and work hard before you get this money. Once that is your mentality, and once that is what you want to buy into, then there is no stopping you, my friends. So this is just the breakdown of the salary of the healthcare assistant. Hours of work, at least 37 hours, 37.5 hours in a week. The hourly rate ranges between 10 to 12 to 13 to 15 pounds per hour. And that leaves us per week wage to be roughly around 374, 380. And in a month, you can go with at least about 1,430. And in a year, you can make between 19,000 and maybe 26 or 27,000, depending on how many hours of work you do. But remember, factor all the cost, all the expenses in mind, so that when you, if you have to take money from your creditors, remember to negotiate with them so that you can space out the repayment. It's always good for you to have this at the back of your mind before you rush to come to the UK. I hope this helps some of us. Before I come your way next time, remember to like us, remember to leave comment, remember to click your button, and remember to drop us, remember to also subscribe. And until I come your way next time, this is Dr. Tony Aja, your friend. Until I come your way next time, thank you very much. God bless you. Bye.